All right, welcome back, MrGarrell, the Bounty Hunters. We have this show every single Thursday on Twitch live, 7:30 God's time, 8:30 Heathen time. You can watch us live on Twitch, or you can always wait for me to upload it because that's apparently what only everyone does. No one watches us live. You can watch me upload on YouTube from this point forward. And what are we watching? What are we watching? What are we talking about today?
I don't know about you, but I think we're watching the Clone Wars. We're talking about the Dathomirian Nightsisters.
Talking about the Nightsisters. Deep dive Nightsisters coming up next. The Nightsisters were from the planet Dathomir, known for its strong connection to the dark side of the Force. They learned to harness the Force through magic, often taking the form of eerie green fire. Although they could learn to use the Force like a Jedi or a Sith. During the Clone Wars, their leader was Mother Talzin and held the title of Matriarch. Talzin collaborated with the Sith Lord Darth Sidious, but her trust was shattered when Sidious betrayed her and took her biological son Maul. Among them was Asajj Ventress, whose potential caught the attention of Count Dooku, and he took her as a Sith apprentice. However, he would ultimately betray her on the orders of Darth Sidious. Ventress survived and returned to Dathomir, looking for Mother Talzin's aid to assassinate Count Dooku. Their attempt proved unsuccessful, however, leading to General Grievous being dispatched to massacre the Nightsisters. After the Clone Wars, the Nightsisters, much like the Jedi, became a rare sight in the galaxy. Among the known survivors included Ventress, Talzin, Merrin, and Morgan Elsbeth. All right, there we go.
That's one thing I wanted to bring up. I completely forgot about relearning was that Darth Maul is her biological son. That is the craziest thing. I have a comic panel that shows a terrific reaction to that news as well.
It is something that I bet you, unless you're a super nerd, you could take that fact to people who are just Star Wars fans and win some free drinks at the bar, because I bet a lot of people wouldn't be able to come up with that one.
Darth Maul is the son of a queen witch mother of
I mean, sometimes even when I mention his brother, the people will be like, "He never had a brother." I'm like, "Oh, well, in spirit he did, my friend, and he was huge and he was glorious." We're talking about the witches. It's something we were kind of going to do anyway, but we just got through with all the reviews of Ahsoka. If you haven't watched them, you can watch them now up on the YouTube. And it was kind of convenient that it popped up, because this was definitely something we were going to do kind of around this time, and it just kind of, I don't know if even expedited. This is probably where it was going to.
I mean, it surprised us the fact that we're like, oh, not only is Morgan actually a Night Sister, but on top of that, we actually got to see other like Queen Mothers as well, which is really nice to see in live action.
And it did kind of, I don't know, it kind of deepened the lore of them, but at the same time, I don't know if they confused it, but now we know that there needs to be more info, more juicy details that are going to come out. So this might be this thing that if we're still doing this show a year from now, we might have to get updated.
Our update series is going to be pretty strong. We'll do those every month. Update list.
Corrections. We were at a few that needs to be updated. All right, so where do we start? We start with the Nightsisters. As I said on there, we're from a famous planet. Well, I mean,
I don't
know. I guess the Nightsisters technically are, but
yeah. So basically the Nightsisters themselves, I guess, are from Dathomir, regardless. Yeah. The Nightsisters of Dathomir, but Peridia seem to be currently where it's suggested they come from before they moved. Just like the Mandalorians.
And I guess they kind of, I was kind of reading on here, and I guess they're even the Witch Kingdom of Dathomir is kind of what it's been described in a few spots that I've noticed, which I don't know if that's like a newer kind of thing or if that's like something they've always said, but it's here now. Like, we're here for it. And if you're going to tell me that there's a thing called the Witch Kingdom of Dathomir in Star Wars, I'm here for that. Like, sign me up for that. I'll read that book. Yeah. So what do we know about them so far?
Well, is a matriarchal society. Basically, there's a Queen Mother, and then she leads her coven of the Nightsisters. The Zabraks are the other species that resides on the planet. That's Darth Maul's species. But they are not exclusively male. They're not exclusively male. There is male and female of them, but the Night Sisters are only female, and
they're the bosses.
Yeah, and through breeding with the Zabrak males that happens, which is fun. You know how that works.
Yeah.
I don't get that, but sure, there it is. But yeah, they're there, and more or less, how do we say it? I'm trying to think here. They're force users basically, but they're not at the same time. Like they use
the use of magic.
They use a different form. Like probably the force is involved in it, but it's a magic. In all intents and purposes, it's called a magic. Do they use the K with the magic when they spell it?
Yeah, but just like anyone else, like you see with the Asajj Ventress, they do have the ability to use the force if they are so gifted.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say the thing that I remember, and every time I remember, I forget it, and then when I see it again, I'm like, oh yeah. And it's that there is the Singing Mountain, and I wanted to make sure I got the names right. And the Blue Coral Divers Clan are also somehow on this planet. I always forget that they're mentioned. I don't know. Were they ever in Clone Wars? I don't remember this. They had to be in a book or something. But technically, there's like 3 or 4. There's like 3 clans on Dathomir supposedly. But the witches are the
number
boss.
1,
yeah, the Night Sisters, I should say, are the bosses. And there's like all these crazy stories. Like I don't even know. I guess it's we do both. We do canon and the fun stuff.
So this is a fun one here to talk. I'll just bring this up quickly. So before we get into the full details,
and I'll just be honest. I had no. If you're about to talk about what we talked about before, I had no idea this was a thing. Like this is the first time that I was baffled. When you were telling me this, I was stunned looking at the screen. I was baffled by this.
So before we talk about the Clone Wars, which pretty much is the majority of what we see of the Night Sisters and the information we get on them, for the longest time, I believed that Clone Wars is where they first came from. But no, they predate it by quite a long time. They actually predate the prequels. So the first time we actually see or hear the name Night Sister is in the 1995 book, The Courtship of Princess Leia. It's the Legends book of when Leia and Han were wed. And in that, there's a character. Let me get the name right because I don't want to put shade on it. It is I'm not gonna have the name right, so that's fine. I didn't write that name down. But there's characters there, and there's a lady, and she's referred to as the Night Sister of Dathomir, or the witch as well. So, and they're grayed skin witches. The author wanted to create a group of basically people who use the Force, but not the Force. Like more magic in there, and he decided that a group of female-led witches would be kind of fun. So he did that, and because of that coming out, they went and retconned an earlier movie, to have a Night Sister and be the first to have a Night Sister. Can you guess the movie? I did not tell you.
No, not at all.
All right, no. The movie was drum roll 1985 Ewoks the Battle for Endor.
No one watched that.
The second live action Ewoks movie. Cheryl the Sorceress was later retconned as Cheryl the Night Sister. So
that's kind of cute. Yeah, I just saw it on here. It just popped up for me. Night Sisters were created by Dave Wolverton.
Yes, Wolverton was the guy who created the book. And, he passed away, I believe, last year as well, actually.
He says he picked him as a splinter faction of the native witches of Dathomir. So he got all of that stuff. He did all of it. Descendants of which they've kind of pulled away from this. I did read this. Descendants of the Fallen Jedi, Leia, Allya, and they kind of pulled away from that a little bit. And appear in multiple legend works. Overton said in an interview that he sought to create a set of powerful female figures in Star Wars universe that was dominated by men at the time, and he expressed delight in the fact that when George Lucas heard about this, he actually wanted to immediately use it for the backstory of Darth Maul. So that wasn't like a Clone Wars. That wasn't like a roundabout. Daddy Lucas heard it and said, "Fantastic, let's go with it."
You know how he is with his like when he saw the Twi'leks, he wanted the Sith Twi'lek, right? Same idea. So 1995, first appearance of them. later on, so obviously it went to influence Darth Maul's design. One of the early concept arts for Darth Maul was actually used directly as Night Sisters. It was like the red small dreads and all that.
He was weird looking. Yeah,
and he was like,
the,
yeah, that's too terrifying.
look.
That's too terrifying. We can't use it. So they used that idea for the Night Sisters. And the next time we see it was actually in before the Clone Wars. The next time we really saw another Night Sister was in the Darth Maul comic from 2000, the 4-issue series with Michaela the Night Sister. And then after that, it's mostly comes down to the Clone Wars from Filoni with the what's that word? With the Mother Talzin and all of them.
Who was like, oh, she's low OP. She's pretty powerful.
I love looking more into her. The interactions of her, like, you know, her and Sidious secretly having this kind of like spat battle. She's like, I want him gone. Like, I've trusted him and like betrayed. And
because there was talk at first of those two, of him taking her on as his second, and then deciding not to, and then stealing her son. And he was like, oh, no, we got to get rid of these women. These crazy women at this planet are too powerful, and they're going to mess up my plans.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I was seeing on here, and it says they were trained in the ways of the Force by this female Jedi, but the Jedi Council claims that there was no such person ever in their records.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Night Sisters themselves, now updated, kind of retconned it. They have contradicting tales of their origin, so you can see that, like, they went down that path. Star Wars like, I don't know if we're gonna 100% go there. So let's just say it's in the air, it's out there. Jedi might have lied. It's Night Sisters lying. Somebody's lying. So we'll just leave it there.
I'm sure what we'll see is probably like a High Republic Night Sister at some point. I'm sure we'd get that.
That'd be awesome.
In a thing, which wouldn't surprise me at all, given how that is like 100-something years. But yeah, so it's really, again, that background blows me away, and that like fact that it goes all the way back, technically speaking, retconning to the Ewoks movies from the 80s. Like, so what in the?
We're going back there, like they went from 20 minutes ago, me thinking they were invention of the Clone Wars, to finding out that they're as old as basically the damn Ewoks themselves. Like they're way back there in the history of Star Wars.
Now on
with the famous Star Wars retcon, though, of course.
It's the classic at this point. Now onto the big stuff. Now we get their actual details more from the Clone Wars, which is where we see Mother Talzin, the Queen Mother, or at least of Dathomir at the time. Other ones had been in the past and died. She was the last remaining at this point. And what those episodes are so cool when they have them all in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I would say the reason why those episodes are cool, it's the reason why to me that the Clone Wars is top tier. It's top tier for me, and it's my favorite part of Star Wars. It's because you had those things where it's like, breaking. Will the Jedi ever da? And then boom, all of a sudden you're in this like creepy red planet with green fire and crazy magic. And it's kind of like, if you didn't know about it, when we watched the Ahsoka episodes, and you didn't know about witchcraft, you didn't know about any of that stuff before you got there, and you're like, what is happening? That was like when I was in Clone Wars. I'm like, what is happening right now? Why is there green fire? Why are there magic things? Like, because the time when we first met Ventress, I had no idea what her like backstory was.
Yeah, she was just a bald assassin.
She was just a cool looking chick that could beat tail. Like, I didn't know anything else about her. And then you find that out. I'm like, wait a minute. And then it seemed like as the episodes went on, and I felt like maybe the reception was good, they started getting even more powerful and more involved. And I was like, oh my gosh.
To the point where, like, one of my favorite moments, you brought up before a couple times with Asajj and Dooku's episodes, and even Savage too, is when basically Asajj gets betrayed by Dooku, returns to the sisters, and they're like, oh, we'll take you back in, come back in, our child, right? And then you're like, you know what? We're gonna go assassinate him. And they crew together and try and sneak in and kill him tonight.
Invisible side. Don't forget the invisibility cloak.
And the invisibility. They can't see them, and he's fighting them in his exquisite pajamas.
Yes.
And I love it. It's such a good
whiskey swilling, pipe smoking PJs, his pajamas. It was so awesome.
But yeah, like having them like doing that is so cool. And then again, obviously the arc, like they're they're the catalyst for bringing Darth Maul back and introducing like Savage and all that stuff, and
It
truly being the first time outside of prior to the show, the only example of like undead in Star Wars was the Death Troopers book, the one-off book, the Geonosians that were like a fungi,
yeah, it was
dead
more like a fungus thing.
zombies.
Yeah.
And then from this, it's the Night Sisters magic on the undead, like
Um,
zombies.
but it was cool because it was like right now. Sometimes I feel like Disney answers questions cheap. Like, how did Rey, learn to become a Jedi? Oh, when she mind melded with Ben Kenobi there, she got all the training downloaded her head, like just silly stuff. But this was like actually something that you can explain why you want to bring you want to bring Darth Maul back. He was cut in half. That's ridiculous. But then when you find out who his mom is, and before you really find out, she takes this Steve Rogers character who was just as scrawny as Steve Rogers with these little bitty horns, and then she puts the juice in him. She gives him the stuff, and he becomes this gargantuan. Like Savage was huge, and his horns grow.
I love that fact. And like, not only did he just become giant, but the horns
the horns become these like giant like crowns sticking out of his head. And then he ends up finding his brother, Maul, who's lost his mind. He's cut in half and he's completely gone crazy. And they bring it back to Mom, and Mom uses her magic to like repair him.
Mm-hmm.
Which you're like, okay. But then when I tell you, yeah, she also rose from the dead, all of her fallen sisters, and was able to do that. So getting Maul melded with a metal legs isn't that big of a deal when you can bring 100 people back to life.
Basically, and then proceeds to bring herself back from a spiritual form by taking over Count Dooku's body and then returning to regular form to fight off all of them at once. There is a lot of power there, which again we talk about like how your favorite quote. You have someone so powerful, you have to get rid of them. There's no way you can explain why are they not around. And the easiest explanation for the Night Sisters is big old cyborg man coming in, and what does he do to this species of people?
He committed genocide.
He taught Chopper the best. Chopper looks up to him.
Lesson in how to commit genocide.
Chopper was watching holovids of that moment, probably training himself.
The only question I have about that is that we know when you watch the original, which we're not allowed to talk about, the original Clone Wars, because just mentioning his name will get Disney on my tail. I can't talk about it. I can't show a clip of it. But the original Star Wars ones with the what's that artist name who did
Genndy Tarkovsky.
When you watch his version of it, he is terrifying. Like seriously, for a silly kids cartoon, he's terrifying. General Grievous. Then they forgot that he's supposed to be terrifying, and they made him kind of goofy. And then out of nowhere, that's the only thing that always kind of made me go, "What?"
He went to the mustache twirling guy to run away.
Out of nowhere, being goofy, he kind of screwed up everything. He was the guy that because you couldn't have Dooku screwing up, you couldn't have everybody, so you had to have somebody screw up. So it was Grievous who screwed up all the time. He went from that to go to this planet full of overpowered witches who are bringing people back to the dead, kill them all. Yeah, no problem. I'll be right back. And
Give me a couple B1s. Give me a couple B1s. It's okay. We can do it.
Yeah, and he did it. He actually went there and killed them all.
Yeah, so he went there. He genocided them all. Mother Tal's included. So all of them died. Asajj escaped. A couple handful pockets survived. Like as we find later on, like Marin from Jedi Fallen Order is one of the ones that survived. She had to bury a lot of her sisters.
Yeah. A couple of the men obviously survived because you play them, you fight against them in the game. So of course, a couple of them survived.
A handful. Like it's like the Jedi, right? You go and commit Order 66. 99% die, 1% survives, and that number slowly grows over time. So Night Sisters, we had like 2 survivors, and then we got like 4, and kind of growing now, right?
It is the same problem when you decide you're going to have something kind of cool and kind of different, and you decide that okay,
shit, we can't have any more of them. How about as another survivor?
Yeah, the whole point is they're all wiped out because they're so powerful. We can't keep them around. They're so wiped out. And then a couple years go by, and you're like, man, that's so cool, man. The Jedi were kind of. What if we just bring back one Jedi, just one time? Let's just bring
one
back
time, just one time.
No, let's have one story once. And then you're like, next thing you know, you got 9, 10, 15 Jedi that are running around. You throw an extra one in a comic book. Of course, we're gonna have Darth Vader kill him by the end of it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And now it's the Night Sisters' turn. They went from 0 left. So we're just going to throw one here and there, just one.
Right. You got one survivor, being Asajj. You have then Marin.
Who they killed off, by the way.
They killed her off. Like, okay, cool. Slate has been cleaned. The last sisters. Marin survives, and then you have a couple little ones around there. Then Morgan Elspeth comes out as being a Night Sister. To which what's the one thing that's a little weird when we're talking about that stuff? Because is she actually a Night Sister? She mentioned she's Night Sister descent. It sounds like she was saying that like she's a descendant of Night Sisters. Like some guy, she ran off somewhere else, and some guy was like, "Ooh, the goth girl looks cool."
So we're gonna find out that there's the name like Skywalker in the Jedi world, and we're gonna find out that like is like the name of like one of the Night Sisters got away. She had kids who had kids who had kids, and here we go. Like she has it in her blood, but she wasn't.
Basically,
she didn't call herself a survivor though, so we have to remember she called herself a survivor. So it is what it is. Like, what does she mean by that? Does she mean she survived the planet, or does she mean she survived being a street rat when everything else went down? So like,
basically, and that again, I don't know if we'll find out more. If anything, I feel like, when they do a visual dictionary for Ahsoka, they'll have updated all the stuff regarding her from the Mandalorian one, and then that's where we'll get the full details about her. And then you find out.
That's pretty much, I guess, the downfall. You had the leader there. She was, she was around for a long time. They talked about like she had been Mother Talzin.
She was the last queen. She was the last queen mother on Dathomir, at least.
Yeah,
that we knew.
And so, she got in bed with figuratively, I think. I don't, but you never know with the Sith. And then figured that out pretty quick. That was no such a good idea. And then, like I said, when he tried to kill Dooku, and then it wasn't just they tried to kill Dooku. It was literally that Sidious was like, I can't have these planet of witches running around creating more malls and I mean,
because realistically, like they could just like did it take a specific Zabrak to like he wasn't like Maul's actual blood. He wasn't Talzin's other son. He was just a Zabrak of there. So realistically, they could just keep piling out different powerful beings.
Yeah. So when you have obviously Grievous and Dooku, but then the key is when the boss man says it's time for y'all to go because I can't have. I mean, when you look at the we'll talk about this probably when we do Darth Maul one day. But Darth Maul and his brother were basically able to pretty quickly combine all the underground criminal empire pretty fast. And the only reason they were stopped because Boss Man came to collect the keys and said enough of this. And Sidious showed up, whooped everyone's tail. And then, but like they could have created 20 of those. And then you got problems at that point. So they had to go.
An army. A clone army. Well, 100,000 ready and more on the way.
And so Ventress did escape. She became a bounty hunter. Her story goes on. She actually has some pretty cool stories. And we're going to probably do Ventress next week. We'll expand.
No, we've covered her already.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We already covered Ventress.
Yes,
that's right.
We covered Ventress all the way back in episode 29.
Episode 29. I'll try to link it down here because I remember we covered what's his name, her boyfriend.
Quinlan Voss as well, which had more stuff with there. On top of that, we've covered Savage the Press, who's talked about we talked about in here and how he's directly related with Night Sisters. There's so many, again, it becomes a thing. There's so many of these stories interwoven with each other and connect.
But like Mother Tals, like you were saying, she didn't die right then. She lived a little bit longer and then got herself into some more mess.
Which we'll talk about the comic slides. Pretty fun.
Yeah. And then I think the next time we see them is in Rebels. We see a little bit of Darth Maul is there, and there was some
he makes mention of it. There's nothing really shown of them. There's mention of their stuff.
But they do come in like spirit form, remember? Because they take over, right? Because I know you like the rebels, right? Like you remember that part where the green spirit.
You're the rebels. You're the rebels expert here.
But yeah, that's how the what do you call it? That thing back there, this thing.
The Darksaber.
The Darksaber. That's how that's found, is because when they go back to that planet, they discover the Darksaber, and Maul is there in his home where his mommy went.
His little hut.
But yeah, so we got to find out what Morgan Elsbeth, what her role in all this is.
Yeah, bringing back.
I was trying to see, because I want to make sure I get this right. So, there's two spirits of the Nightsisters were summoned by Maul and Ezra Bridger in order to break their force bond. However, the spirits demand their flesh and blood as payment. The Nightsisters spirit attacked and possessed Kanan Jarrus and Sabine Wren. Together, they fought Maul and Bridger. Maul abandoned the fight, of course he did. But Bridger continued fighting, and Bridger spoke with the Nightsister that possessed Kanan. The Nightsisters told Bridger that Maul promised flesh and blood and rebuild the Nightsisters clan, but he was able to destroy them. So, see. They were still either up to no good, even in their spirit form.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's it as far as the like canon and the TV show goes. It's mostly Clone Wars.
It's pretty much all Clone Wars. That little mention of Rebels in the one episode, and then on top of that, it just in Mandalorian we saw Morgan, but we didn't know anything about her background. She was just a warlord, and then it didn't come until Ahsoka literally last month. Find out she's a Nightsister descendant, and then seeing these 3 other Queen Mothers on Peridia.
And let's not forget that I don't remember who mentions it, but as Boba Fett rides a Rancor, so do the Nightsisters. They also,
yes,
apparently the rumors are they also ride Rancors.
Yeah, and, which is a fun.
I didn't think I needed to see a powerful Night Mother wielding green magic on top of a Rancor, but I might need to see that now. Like at least in an animated, if you're not gonna give it to us.
What
one she agrees.
You have to. There's one other character that, technically speaking, if I'm not mistaken, was another Legends character of note that was considered a Nightsister. At least she was like that line was Mara Brood. She was a semi-apprentice to Shaak Ti in the Force Unleashed. The one with the forearm lightsabers. She was part Zabrak with the horns, but she was like Nightsister grade skin and everything. I don't believe they called her directly a Nightsister, but she is of that line again, like descended. So that's another character of note that is brought up. Technically a survivor of the genocide then, if she was around.
Yeah, and I know they called it, wasn't it like it was magic, but I think it was like magic. It was like
Magic with a K.
Yeah, magic with a K.
The old
they can do stuff. Like, I'm trying to see all the stuff they can do real quick because there's a bunch. They used create objects out of thin air. We saw that in Ahsoka. They got Mother Talzin's sword out of thin air. They can reanimate the dead. They can have ghostly versions of their true form, and they were also known to domesticate the Rancor. Like, I just want to put that on there one more time because I do want to see the. And I guess it's just known both sides. I guess Sith and Jedi, both their lore is that they are Dark Force adjacent. They are not considered the light. They're not considered the good. They are considered the dark part of them stuff.
Even though they're witches, they don't discriminate. They're not bad people. Not necessarily.
I guess it depends on your outlook on life whether they're bad or not. I might disagree with you.
I think we know what Voodoo's opinion on that would be then. Absolutely.
What's happening? How are you doing? Yeah. I mean, you're telling me that you don't want to see Danny Trejo holding the chains
For a split second, I was like Danny Trejo, and I remembered, he's the
Rancor guy. Remember that was back when Boba Fett was making me crazy because they would try to bring in a celebrity like every episode, and it totally was taking me out of the show. The show is bad enough as it is, but I didn't need celebrity after celebrity. But I think that's it as far as the TV show goes and the canon goes.
Yes. And
the rest why I said when we first started this, we're definitely in a year or so probably gonna have to update this because I would imagine there's going to be more coming out now that they're here. They're here. So
alongside Thrawn, we'll get more with that in either a potential season 2, the film that comes out at some point. I'm not sure if it's still coming out in 2025 or if they're going to delay it or not, but we'll see.
Let me get this going.
But now we can look at the comic appearances of them. They don't have much at all, but some of the stuff they have is pretty cool. Specifically, Mother Talzin has a lot of great moments in the Son of Dathomir miniseries.
So while bringing these up, I was watching this YouTube show, and it was going on about why they thought Ahsoka was terrible. So I kind of wanted to listen, and they were mentioning like, unless you're some, I don't know if he said the word idiot, but it was pretty close to that. That goes like, oh yeah, and the comic book this happened, and the comic book that happened, and this random novel this happened, and this does. And I was sitting there going, does he watch our show? Like two idiots saying this in this comic book. I was like, I think he's a fan. I think he might watch our show.
No, that's so funny.
All right. Let's see what goes on in the world of the comic book.
Episode 92.
I think it's important to pay attention to the comic books and to pay attention to the novels, because we know that a certain uncle of ours who loved the Clone Wars, who just made this Ahsoka movie, this is where he pulls it from. Like he ain't out here inventing the wheel. He's out here pulling from novels and comic books.
Well, hey, in 1995, he literally reached back to them to bring up the Night Sisters.
So the guy that most people are thinking is, the best writer for Star Wars right now, this is what he's pulling a lot of his ideas from.
He's a compiler. So key appearances, so movies and TV. One movie, Battle of Endor. So that's first crazy. Appearance of Sheryl the Sorceress, later retconned to be a Night Sister.
Am I watching Battle of Endor tonight? Is it on Disney Plus?
It is, yeah.
I'm gonna have to end up watching that. I gotta see this now.
It's so funny. Yeah, you're gonna love the effects. You're gonna love the effects.
Pop up on the Disney, like they have the big tower somewhere where they can monitor everybody watching Disney Plus. They're like, holy crap! Somewhere in Texas, someone's
actually watching it. Let's see if he clicks off. And then, so again, after that, Clone Wars 2008. The Night Sisters is the 12th episode of season 3. It's the first appearance of the Night Sisters in like television and all that stuff, basically. And Mother Talzin specifically. It's followed up with the episode Monster and Witches of the Mist, the 3-episode arc. Following that, Massacre is the episode where Grievous and them go and massacre them out. Followed up with
Massacre
Bounty.
Is the episode where the massacre happens.
Yep. Yeah, followed up with Bounty, and then Brothers and Revenge. Brothers is the Savage episode where he gets Darth Maul and the Revenges follows with that. Later again, we see them in the Disappeared Part 2 as a flat part of they show up there in that episode too. After that, so they did just show up in that Rebels episode as the spirits. I didn't have that included here. And then
it's almost like you don't like the Rebels.
I love the Rebels.
No, I see.
Yeah, I'm upset that we didn't get Zeb, so that's why I had to exclude it for the. So no, Mandalorian. So the Jedi is the episode where Morgan Elsbeth has first appeared. Later on, again, we find out she's a Night Sister descendant of some kind. And Ahsoka, Far, Far Away, first appearance of these 3 Queen Mothers. I did not write their names down because that would probably take up half that screen right there. Dreams and Madness, they show up again, and then the Jedi, the Witch, and the Warlord, hilarious name, is the death of Morgan Elsbeth.
All right, I was spoiler. Jeez, Louise, sir.
I mean, if you know someone was gonna have to die by the end of that series.
Wow.
Now they're going
dead, to be honest with you, I don't trust it. Not Star
That's
Wars.
True.
They break on everything. So here's what I would say: if you really, really do like the Night Sisters or the witches or whatever you want to call them, and you want to know more about it, I feel like
Just
you could
watch the
pause.
Endor movie. Just watch the
You could,
Ewoks movie. That's it.
you could probably pause right now and just kind of write down those appearances on the Clone Wars, because that's really going to be like where you're going to get a lot of the stuff and see how cool they are. And then and you're probably pretty good if you just watch the Clone Wars. And I assume that you probably watch Ahsoka. That's probably why you would want to know more about them. If you just watch the Clone Wars, you're going to be doing just fine. And they're really good episodes. You don't have to watch, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 episodes. It's not like a terrible amount.
No,
And
3 of them is an arc. Basically, how long the episodes are, that first arc is an hour. That's it.
Yeah.
You basically spend about 2 hours of your life watching that.
And you'll get to know all you need to know about them.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Following that, comic appearances. So, Legends, we have 2 issues. Issue 3 of Darth Maul's miniseries is the first appearance of the Night Sister Michaela, and issue 4 ends that miniseries. She supposedly died. She falls off a thing, but as we know, falling off a ledge doesn't mean you die.
What?
Canon. What? So canon. Son of Dathomir, issue 2.
It's almost like that Star Wars Son of Dathomir is an important series.
Yeah, it's almost like it's a little too expensive to buy at this point. Issue 2, amazing cover, by the way, we'll see, is the first canon appearance of the Night Sisters, as well as the first appearance of Mother Talzin. Issue 3, she's in it as well. Issue 4 it's caught me off guard. I forgot. It's the first cover appearance of Mother Talzin. Also, the final death of her as well. After kind of being resurrected again. Following that, we see 2 different flashbacks to the Grievous's genocide of the Night Sisters, and both Age of Republic Special 1 and Crimson Reign 2. So,
well, you need it. If you're going to genocide a whole planet, you got to have at least 2 good flashbacks. That's just a rule.
Yeah, and you can guess what the panels look like. It's just Grievous swinging. So this here is the Michaela character. Now, again,
I'm here for that. I totally forgot she looked like that.
This is, again, prior to how we see them in the Clone Wars. So this is what the original idea of what they look like is. They're still the gray skin and kind of like the tattoo bodies, but there's a lot more hair and more gray, less reds involved. And hers is kind of all fabric.
She's amazing.
Yeah. Cool character in that.
And terrifying in her own kind of way. Like that's that's an interesting smile she has there.
Yeah. And then followed that, enters the room. Do you know who I am? He's like a Night Sister. And he takes his shirt, he takes his top of his shirt off to show off his tattoos.
Yeah, he did.
And then
he did. He's like, you ain't got ink, sister. Let me show you what the ink looks like. Let me show what this ink when you're committed to your tattoo artist. You can see right there in the face, though. Like, if you know Night Sisters, you can see where they got it. They evolved that. That looks. It's either a one-off Joker clown person that DC's trying to make a lot of money off of. Oh, here comes the lucky star or whatever. Or you see the Night Sister influencer. She's kind of badass. I kind of like the way she looks.
Yeah, you see the fighting there. So they get to a fight, are attacking. Maul's using his lightsaber. She's using this kind of sword thing. And then she uses force lightning.
That's unfortunate.
Now, because this is prior to the use of like a lot of the green fire.
Prior to use of the 90s extreme green.
And she's like, how are you surviving this? Maul's like, oh, you don't know the Sith. You don't know the power. And he just blasts her back off and to her supposed death.
There was a panel that you don't see. It's off the page where he actually whispered, because you don't know who my mother is.
My mama, the big dog.
This looks like he's about to all you can or something. Like,
yeah, he's gonna give her the Kamehameha.
Yeah, he's about to do some Street Fighter stuff right there.
Yeah, and then here you go, issue 2 of the Son of Dathomir. Love my cover there. We see Mother Talzin is currently interacting with Darth Maul, and she's in her kind of spirit form. She's inhabiting his body, and basically her goal is trying to kill Dooku and kill the Sith, like the rest of the Sith off, and bring herself back. So Maul is trying to.
Does she actually have magical powers, or is she just like get him in a drug-induced state? Because this looks.
She gave him a lot of peyote.
Mother.
Mother. He's got very much the Jason Voorhees and going on. And then this is I love this page here.
Oh, that's the greatest cover. Look at that cover.
So in this page here, she comes out to Dooku and he's like, oh shit. And starts talking to her. And she's like, yes, my son. And he's like, wait, your son? And that's where the eye twitched and the eyebrow going. He's like, wait a minute. he's like, this is like your act. He's like, yeah, my biological son, my own flesh. And it's like, oh, here we go. This was also the son of, if you wanted to know, the Son of Dathomir was an arc of the Clone Wars that was going to happen. And then when it got canceled, they initially, at Dark Horse, this is a Dark Horse comic, they turned it into a 4-issue comic.
Yeah.
And then it came back and they decided to leave it as a comic opposed to reanimating it.
They
which I would love to see. If they just animate these 4 issues into like 2 episodes or something, 4 episodes, with like the Tales of the Jedi art, I would just be so happy.
There's like 4 times I could think of, probably maybe even more, that like Dooku had a realization. I don't think I've been told the whole story. Like there's like, what do you mean that's your son? Like what? Wait a minute. How do you even know
that
Darth Sidious? Like
I think half of his like him being half the time he's been startled has been the Nightsisters. This his pajamas, Sidious saying "do it" to cut his head off, and then the what is it called? Hondo capturing him in the Obi-Wan and Anakin. Will probably be the 4 times. So yeah, here we go. Amazing cover again as well. Issue 4. Yeah. It's the cover appearance of her there. So basically this moment, crazy as hell here. She takes over Dooku's body, inhabits him. So him and Maul go to fight Sidious, who's like, I've had enough. I thought I wiped you out. I'm going to take my lapdog Grievous here to finish the job fully. So Grievous and Sidious come to the planet to fight Dooku and Maul. And then Sidious is like talking to Mother Talzin, and he's like, oh, you may be inhabiting Dooku, but you don't have his skill. And just wipes the floor with him. And
so you're telling me it was a WWE level tag team championship of the world?
For the world title. And then it became a triple threat after this instead. Noob move.
She's like, oh.
So she managed to manifest herself into a body and stares down Sidious. I love that page. It's so cool looking. And then Maul shoves Grievous out the door. Sidious and her go for a lightning storm, basically.
That panel right there where she's got all the green around her, she has her hands up, that's awesome. But also the panel right below that with Sidious not even caring, like he had not even concerned. He hasn't lifted his eyes and doing anything. It's like if you only know him from those few movies, or you don't even understand what level of a badass he actually is. Like the fact that he didn't really have to try to take out Maul and his brother, Savage Ventress, whatever his name is.
Savage.
He didn't even have to really try. And Savage was taking out Jedi after Jedi in the Clone Wars.
He took out Adi Gallia. He killed one of the council members.
Yeah, he was taking out one by one, and he took out both of them at the same time without so much as an effort. He didn't even have to really try.
So he's going for Mama here. And as that happens, Maul goes back to support her in the next panel. You'll see he goes to support her. Dooku gets up and also joins in the lightning on Sidious's side. And that's just enough to overwhelm her, the power. To be there. And then, in that moment, she's losing, forces Maul back to go with his crew, Gar Saxon and the lady. Grievous comes in and he's like, all right, time to finish what I started. And finally kills Mother Talzin for good. No hijinks there. As far as we know. But
yeah, as far as we know, this is Star Wars. Look at that.
And this is a great, yeah. And just this is a scene because I'm looking at this because this is basically she turns into a husk and dies, and he's like, that witch never learned there are those of power, those of dream power. And then it's just interesting seeing Sidious Dooku, and Grievous next to each other, because you never really see all three of them in the same room together. It's always one to two of them.
And at the same time, just a few feet, 100 yards over there, Maul's running around. So
yeah, Maul's right over there.
Yeah, you had all of them in the same situation together.
They started the NWA over there, and he ran off angry. NWO, sorry. So this is the Age of Republic special, and this is where we see Asajj Ventress has flashbacks to her time at the end of the Clone Wars when she rejoins the Night Sisters, and then the genocide occurs. And then another flashback. So this again, our character I forgot to mention. Another Night Sister is Deathstick. That purple robed one is
Whisper.
Her name is Deathstick.
I know.
Literally the name of the cigarettes. So, and it is a flashback again of Grievous slaughtering the Night Sisters. And that's that for comics. Now, their toys, I'm going to tell you right now, I was heavily disappointed. Heavily disappointed. There's nothing. There's one toy. This is all there is. There's only one. It's Night Sister. It doesn't even say Mother Talzin. It just says Night Sister. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be Mother Talzin. She has a lightsaber. It kind of looks like that original chick from the.
It kind of looks like the original chick from the comic more than it looks like Mother Talzin.
She has a lightsaber. Go figure. Darth Maul returns as a Target exclusive 3-pack. They're the 3.25 inch pieces. I didn't count any of the Asajj Ventress figures because we talked about her before we brought it up there. Yeah. But like outside of her, Asajj Ventress, every other Night Sister, like Merrin, her, Mother Talzin, the just regular old Night Sisters as well, none of them ever gotten a figure. Except for this one.
No, if that's her. I want to go back and look real quick.
No.
You sure that's not her? It's supposed to be her?
No. It was part of the Clone Wars thing, because it's a Savage. So.
Oh, sorry. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah. So next,
it's I hate to say this because I'm usually not disappointed in this thing, but that's sad. That's interesting.
And then on top of that, if you go next, so there have no Lego figures. They've never made a single Lego figure of them. The only thing is this is from the Lego Terrifying Tales. It's like a little animated short on Disney Plus. And that's Talzin there with 2 Night Sisters. They've never made a figure. This is the closest thing you've ever seen to it.
Interesting. She has the hat. Like they use that same. I didn't even realize.
So I wonder if they're gonna be making. So that's the thing. Everyone's thinking they're gonna be making the Lego figures off the Queen Mothers from the Ahsoka series. So now will probably be the first time.
Have we had a announcement of them going to the Black series, the Queen Mothers?
Nope, not thing there.
They're gonna get
no
announcement
of that. On top of that, like I would see that if you go to the narrative panel over the next one. On top of that, there's only one pop. Pop Vinyl likes to make a million. Gosh. They love to make a million things. There's only one of them, and it's Merrin Night Sister, and it was a game. And it was a GameStop exclusive as well.
Merrin doesn't even have a figure.
Nope, that's what caught me off guard. I was like, okay,
oh my God, I just realized that.
Nope. She doesn't have a Black series of her original from the first game or her look in the second game.
Listen,
which is crazy because her character
is Hasbro on the horn. I need to talk to them immediately. They not want my money. I just realized she doesn't have one.
Yep, crazy to think of, right? Like that's insane. The only chance you'd probably get to get another Lego figure as well, Lego wise, is if they do the Mantis, the ship, and they have her and Cal and all of them. But it's crazy. There's no Black series. There's no other toys. Nothing. These are the 2 only toys you can buy. This pop figure. And that one part of that 3-pack thing.
It's so weird. Like, why would you not use that opportunity? Just because they're such a cool style. Like, why would you?
I tried looking as well. If you want to discount Asajj, because she's her own character entirely, there's no statues. There's no statues. There's no Lego. There's no other toys. There's no no McDonald's, Burger King toy.
They have Night Brothers, though. They do have the Night Brothers. They have
the Zabraks. They have the Zabrak Night Brothers in that Black Series gaming grade.
Yeah, because I have one. I have the guy who's shooting the arrows.
Yeah,
I have the bow.
They have two of them. They have like the one with the arrow.
Wait a minute. So they have
two
random
of those guys, but
NPC. Wait a second here. They have random NPC Night Brothers shooting a bow.
Talk about woman power, right? You got this magical.
Where is the sexism here now, sir?
Magical cults of witches that are matriarchal empire on an entire planet, and they include two of the male subservient species on the planet.
Builder guys, you don't even need them, and they don't have they don't even have one of the stars. What the hell?
So you can see why I was like, this is going to be easy. You can see why I was like, damn, that's pretty disrespectful.
That's nuts. That is crazy because, like, especially this last one, the story, like, Marin she's the story. Like he's the star of the thing. But like the best thing about that game is the story they have, and you didn't create a character for her even on the you didn't do it the first time. And you do it the second time when she's so important to the story. Like,
in the second game, she's like the secondary character.
Yes, like I don't even know. She's really important. Like, I don't even know how to explain that part. That's weird.
I know, right?
I think Disney has some explaining to do in Hasbro, please.
Yep. And that's everything for the Night Sisters, basically.
All right. Well, we have a letter writing campaign to start. With all the 10 people that watch this thing, we're going to get the word out. This is outrageous. We will not stand for it anymore. They need
to decided to look into this.
You put those 3 Night Mothers on a black thing, and I'm throwing my wallet at the screen.
We could do a 3-pack, like a 3-pack with them together, like a.
Well, I don't know about that. They charge like $75, and that gets my cheap blood boiling.
We'll go in the bargain bin at some point, though, so it's okay.
I don't know. Not they ever done it before. Good Lord. All right. Well, on that note, that is our discussion of the Night Sisters. Wow. Okay. That is a Night Sisters. I think they're a really cool part of Star Wars. It gives you that thing where, if you love Star Wars, you love guys running around with lightsabers and girls running around with lightsabers and starships and the whole 9.5. But you like that little fantasy mixed in. This is the fantasy mixed in. This is the witches and the magic and all that stuff, and it's really cool. If you're gonna have Force, there's no reason why you can't have of witchcraft. And this is a really cool. Like I said earlier, if you want to see more, you can go back and pause it where we talk about the Clone Wars, and you can watch that. It's pretty cool. Okay, one more time, I'm gonna complain because here, Hasbro doesn't like making original molds. Okay, I get that. It costs some money. But you have Asajj Ventress. She has plenty of them. Okay, I have like 2 right over there. You could make Asajj Ventress again and just have the little mask and have the little thing and just basically cover her up or repaint her. And you could have made a Night Sister.
Yeah.
Not that difficult. Anyway, sorry. If you're watching this, we appreciate you showing up and talk about the Night Sisters.